Hi, my name is Jay Lassiter. I'm a writer and presenter at InsiderNJ, and I'm looking to do a lot more video this year. And the first person I thought of to interview was Senator Michael Testa. He represents a district down in the southernmost portion of New Jersey. And I'm actually looking, looks like he's in the green room now. I'm going to add you, Michael. Hey, there you go, man. How's it going?
Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Yeah, to you as well. I'm doing pretty good. Getting by. Hoping to make the video thing a big part of my output this year. And you were actually somebody that I thought of early when I really wanted to make this a New Year's resolution to do the video. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I mean, I'm longing for more in-person interaction, that COVID-19 has taken away from us, but we're doing all of these virtual meetings. And I think it's great that I think you're streaming this on YouTube from my understanding. So that's really great.
We're going to stream it on YouTube, and they're going to play it on InsiderNJ. We're recording it actually live, no edits. So all of our bloopers and all of our outtakes are going to be available for the consumption of all of our, hopefully, lots of viewers. But, it's funny, Senator, we kind of struck up an unlikely friendship, and I say unlikely based on our politics, but I actually wrote down a few things that we have in common. So I'm going to share those with our viewers. And number one, we both love Whitney Houston. We both have a one-handed backhand, which is unusual for kids who grew up in the era of Chrissy Everett and Jimmy Connors when everybody was hitting that two-hander. And we both have very strong feelings about Donald Trump.
We do. Yeah, we absolutely do.
Although in opposite directions. We can get into all of our political differences later. I want to say that whenever I have a new Republican friends, and we've been buddies for a while now, I always think my dad would be so pleased about that because, it's about relationships. And especially in Trenton, you never know who you're going to need for somebody at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everything that we do in life, I believe, is relationship based. I mean, and you and I did strike up what many would deem an unlikely friendship. I don't believe that. I mean, I think right now we've become so polarized in this nation. I think I often look to, our United States Supreme Court, and, my favorite justice of all time has been Antonin Scalia. Who was his best friend that he had lunch with all the time? Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I think it was my favorite Supreme Court justice.
Really?
Well, she's up at the top for sure. I mean, you would have to think that about me.
For sure, yeah.
A Ruth Bader Ginsburg fan, which is why it was so devastating when she passed away. I mean, that was a rough day for liberals. I mean, and I think it was a rough day for America. You heard a lot of people across the spectrum say a lot of nice things about her.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. I mean, it just goes to show you the collegiality that should happen in politics and in life in general. The fact that two people who were polar opposites, Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, two phenomenal justices. I disagreed with her policies. I thought she legislated from the bench quite a bit, but look, that's my opinion. It doesn't make me despise her. It doesn't make me hate her. It makes me think, hey, look, we have differences of opinion on what a jurist is supposed to do. But they had a love of opera. They went to the opera together regularly, and they also had lunch together. I believe it was almost daily. So, I mean, I think there's lessons to be learned there. And, I think of the conversations I have with Senator Bob Singer quite a bit. He tells me of the days that in Trenton, when he first started in the Senate, both sides of the aisle would go to dinner together. I mean, I think it's really hard to be angry at each other when you're breaking bread together, sharing a meal together, and sitting across the table from each other. But, we've become so polarized in the nation and in our state. And COVID has really made us even more polarized because we're sort of in our own silos at this point in time, that I really think we need to get back to that. And, just like you and I have struck up, great conversations. And I do want to publicly express my gratitude towards you for helping a very good friend of mine. And I really appreciate that. And that's a heartfelt thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Michael. It's nice to have people in your life that you can help. And listen, I've called you 2 times about LGBT legislation, and I needed Republicans to get on board. And your reply was, do you need me to co-sponsor this, or do you just need me to vote yes? So, as I push my radical gay agenda in Trenton, listen, it's a lot easier when I got help from the Republicans, because I remember with the marijuana thing that I've been working on for so long, it was really hard to get Republicans to even open the door. And it seems like increasingly on gay rights, especially from your generation, because you're younger, you had a gay best friend in high school. It's a whole different era. So the whole LGBT rights as a culture war thing, it just seems a lot less divisive than it used to be. Thank God.
Well, I mean, look, again, I'm a constitutionalist. You look, and an originalist. You look at the Constitution, it says we're all supposed to be equal under the law. I mean, to me, that means everybody, not specific groups. You don't get to pick and choose like most Catholics are, pick and choose Catholics. I mean, when you're a constitutionalist, the Constitution is what it says, and it means what it says. So, I truly believe in equal protection. If equal protection is a mantra that you believe in, you have to believe in it consistently. So, it doesn't make much sense. You use the word consumption early on in your conversation today. And isn't it amazing that at this date, you still can't legally consume marijuana in the state of New Jersey? And, I find it laughable what has happened. And you talked about looking for conservatives on the other side of the aisle that would support that. I've read a lot about, a former legislator, Michael Patrick Carroll, in the Assembly. His original marijuana bill made the most amount of sense. I mean,
for sure.
And that's the one that I think that we should have gone with.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Yeah. If this is our path for, quote unquote legalization, then that was the path that we should have taken for sure.
He was all about liberty. He was just like, I want liberty to grow it. I want liberty if I'm sick to consume it. And it wasn't just for medical purposes. It was for recreational purposes too. And I don't even actually think he smoked pot. And there were some other issues that he and I clashed on, but I think if you look at the best legislation that has ever come down the pipe, which also included provisions for sick people to grow their own cannabis, that was the original bill that the New Jersey Senate signed, that they signed on to. They passed it like overwhelmingly. And so it got watered down in the Assembly. So it was a bill that was envisioned by a very conservative member of the New Jersey legislature who is no longer around, unfortunately. And when he left, there was nobody else. So I remember originally you were against it. New Jersey voted overwhelmingly for it. And then your whole philosophy seemed to be, well, this is the will of the people. So we've got to get on board and we've got to do something that they've demanded.
It is absolutely the will of the people. And look, I still have an issue with the fact that states are legalizing it while the feds have not legalized it. I mean,
same.
That's where I'm at with it, and why I had my opposition. But now the will of the people, you had 2/3 of New Jerseyans voted in favor of this for a constitutional amendment. So now we have to make this correct. However, what the bill that is in front of everyone is not what the people voted on. There's all additional taxes and additional costs. The entire spirit and intent of the legislation is to eradicate the black market. This is only going to reinforce the black market of all of the taxes and associated costs. The black market is going to be reinforced. And I just don't understand why more people aren't envisioning this and seeing this bill for what it is. This is not the bill that the people voted on.
It's funny because I went on Power and Politics a few weeks ago and they're like, Jay, we're going to invite you on to do a victory lap about marijuana. And I was just like, a victory lap? This is not, it was a really great result on election day. But then when it came time for the legislature, and this was mostly Democrats who were in charge of this process, they were kind of fumbling one crazy idea to the next. And then before you know it, we've got a bunch of taxes globbed onto this legislation, which they designed. It didn't, they're adding on taxes in the name of social justice because it's a big buzzword nowadays. And honestly, a lot of people's lives have been ruined by our marijuana laws. And I think the social justice component drew a lot of people in to vote yes on this. And nobody was thinking about more taxes when we were thinking about this. We were thinking of expungements and we were thinking of stop locking people up for weed. That was what your average voter was probably thinking about. Stop wasting our money on this stuff, on prosecuting this stuff. And there's nothing about expungement that's happening in the legislature. And this is the Democrats who are always talking the social justice game, but not really like walking the walk.
Well, and I've said this from the Senate floor. The term social justice and other terms that we have that have been attached to the word justice, educational justice, environmental justice, social justice, all good goals, but it's sort of an amorphous term. And what I think New Jersey really needs in the long run, I'm hoping someone will stand up for taxpayer justice, because right now the state of New Jersey is becoming unaffordable. It's almost uninhabitable for most families who are trying to raise their children here, pay their taxes. And that's why we have the greatest amount of outward migration in the United States of America. So I'm looking forward to the day that there's a real discussion on taxpayer justice, because it doesn't seem that this is on anybody's radar. And I hear about educational justice and the digital divide that occurs in our inner cities, and that's a very real concern. Where I'm a legislator in my home county of Cumberland County, where I represent, we have a digital divide where children don't have access to the internet.
That sucks.
And that's why I sponsored a bill to bridge that gap in the digital divide. And there's also a section of Cape May County that I also represent that has no internet. It's amazing to me that this has gone on for so long, especially in South Jersey. And I say, South Jersey is at the bottom of the state. And my running mate, Assemblyman Eric Simonson, always says, just because we're at the bottom of the state doesn't mean we should be treated like we're at the bottom of the barrel. Yet we absolutely do. There are children out there that don't have access to the internet. When I ran for office in 2019, I met a young lady at the local Starbucks, and she recognized me because of all of the negative ads that were against me on television. And I said, wow, you saw me here last time I was here, which had probably been over a month ago. And she said, yeah, and then I saw all these ads about you on TV. I said, those weren't mine, by the way. Those were very negative against me. And we shared a laugh. And I said, you do all of your studying here? And she goes to Cumberland County College. And she said, well, I sort of have to do my homework here because the township I live in, we don't have internet. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about that, like she has to go to a Starbucks or stay at the county college to do her homework. That's ridiculous.
Especially, when most people from outside of Cape May County think of Cape May County, they think of sort of the Victorian splendor and the fancy guest houses and stuff like that. And that's all, that's what you say by the digital divide, the haves and the have-nots down in that end of the state. It's funny that you brought up your election, because I remember that election. It caught the attention of a lot of political junkies, especially outside of your district, including myself, because you were taking on the much vaunted South Jersey Democratic machine, who threw, how many millions of dollars did they throw at you?
I've heard estimates up to $5 million. That's what I've heard.
We could have cured a lot of poverty with that, but it was such a spectacular result. They threw all those millions of dollars and you won by a lot. And that was kind of seen as a little bit of an upset, but it didn't. Now in retrospect, it seems like you hustled more. You ran a better campaign. You obviously wanted this job more than your opponent, and you made a more compelling argument to the voters. And there were a lot of liberals in South Jersey who saw that as sort of like cracks in the armor of the machine, who took some comfort in watching basically the Norcross regime take it on the chin.
Well, look, I play to win. You and I discussed our youth tennis careers. When I played tennis, I took it very seriously. I played to win then, and in getting in this Senate race, I remember discussing it with Minority Leader Tom Kean, who's become a very good friend of mine. He said, are you going to run? And I said, if I run, I'm going to run very seriously. And I took that as a very serious challenge. And I certainly didn't want to run to see my name up on a billboard or a commercial that was in favor of me. I certainly didn't want to see all those commercials that were against me, but I wanted to win. And I think it was a win for South Jersey. It was the first sweep of an entire district. I believe it was in 28 years. So we made history between myself, Assemblyman Antoine McClellan, and Assemblyman Eric Simonson. We did a great job, and we gelled as a team, which was what we needed to do. Yeah,
teamwork and hard work is what makes campaign election day success happen. And your margin was a lot. You won by 6% percentage points or more.
It was over 6, I think just shy of 7, if I remember the numbers. Yes.
I certainly didn't call it. And especially facing, millions of dollars like that. And here you go again, it's 2021, and the whole legislature is up for election, including yourself. And you were mentioning Tom Kean Jr. earlier, who may be running onto Congress. Do you see anywhere that your caucus, your minority might expand a little bit? Where are you guys going to be playing offense this year?
I think we have to play offense everywhere, because look, the map, unfortunately, I'm going to be, this isn't partisan. This is an objective view. The map is really against Republicans in the state of New Jersey. I mean, and just look at the numbers in the legislature. You know, where there's 25 Democratic senators and 15 Republican senators. I think we need to play offense everywhere, and in the assembly, the percentages aren't that much better. So I think that there's going to be a offense played across the board. And, you know, I think the best defense is a great offense, to be quite honest with you. And I think that applies to football and our beloved sport of tennis, which I unfortunately don't play at all anymore. But, you know, I think you need to be on offense at all the time. And that's how I ran in 19, and that's how I plan to run this year in 2021.
You ran for office like Serena Williams. I mean, you just like bashed everything back. It was really relentless. And I don't want to like, you know, fluff your ego too much, but like it was one of those wins that got everybody's attention. It really puts you on the map. And like, even though you're new, like suddenly you were the campaign manager for Donald Trump in the state. I mean, you're suddenly like a leader, you know, in your party. Like, that's crazy.
Listen, you know, you sort of got thrust onto the stage for sure. But I've been doing this for a very long time. You know, I'm the county chairman since 2014 in Cumberland County. I was a delegate for Donald Trump in 2016. So, you know, I've been on the scene for a long time, just never in the forefront, always in the background. And if you would have told me in 2017, really even in 2018, that I would have run for office, I would have said probably not much of a chance. But I saw an opportunity, and, you know, you used, I think, one of the two greatest female tennis players of all time in Serena Williams. I saw the opportunity, and I took as much advantage of it as I possibly could.
Is the other one Martina Navratilova?
I would say Steffi Graf.
Yeah, wow, interesting.
Just because of that 1 year of 1988, if we're going to get into tennis, that she had the Golden Slam where she won all four majors and the medal. I don't know that will ever be recreated. And granted, I will be very objective about this. I don't think that she had the necessary level of competition that Serena Williams had,
her
own sister. But I mean, the fact, so much has to go right to win a Grand Slam and then win the gold medal in the same year. I just think that that's probably the greatest year, male or female, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
That tennis has ever seen is 1988. Now, granted, I was only 12 years old, and I probably had somewhat of a crush on Steffi Graf at the time, but, you know, it is what it is.
She had the best legs in tennis history, and I say that as a gay man. I've actually ball boyed for her, so I've been on the tennis court sort of behind her. So it's that footwork, I think, and our readers and listeners are going to be so bored with us talking about tennis. But to wrap that part up, you know, Steffi won the career Grand Slam and the gold medal. She was like 18 years old. I mean, so she was doing these amazing things when I was still in high school age. But I'm looking at the clock, and before I let you go, I want to ask you. So Inauguration Day is coming up on the 20th. It's coming up really soon. Are they going to like have to drag Donald Trump out by his hair, or is he going to come to his senses before then?
Listen, I don't think that they're going to have to drag President Trump out of the White House. I don't believe that. You know, I just hope this. I always want to see America succeed. I wasn't the biggest fan of President Obama. I was pretty vocal about that, but I still always want to see America succeed. I want to see New Jersey succeed. And, you know, look, I'm certainly not a fan of President-elect Joe Biden. I mean, I find it somewhat laughable how far left the left has gone and have criticized their own party and the Democratic Party, saying that they're male and pale. And yet the president-elect is Joe Biden. I mean, seriously? I mean, the hypocrisy there is very, very rich and thick, I think, in the fact that, you know, we have a party that says, you know, well, there's too many, you know, they're too male and too pale, and they have Joe Biden as their masthead and the leader of their party. I mean, I don't think you could try much harder to find someone more male and pale than President-elect Joe Biden. But again, I hope, and I'm hopeful, that the United States can succeed under his leadership. I mean,
I do too, and I definitely see the irony, but I also do know that, you know, we're making history with an amazing vice president-elect who I actually like a lot. I think she's really smart. My guy was Pete Buttigieg, who is a little bit out of the box, you know, from the old male and pale sort of mold, and he's going to be our transportation secretary. That's a big deal for New Jersey. I mean, hopefully you'll be working with Pete to, you know, keep the trains and keep the, you know, the highways running on time here in New Jersey. I want New Jersey and America to succeed too, a lot.
Sure. I mean, look, you know, Pete Buttigieg, I thought it was pretty funny when he said that he's always loved transportation because he loves trains. I mean, that was a bit laughable, a bit of a gaffe moment. And I have to say, if it were a Republican that made that same comment, it would be continuously played over and over again. I think he had the media on his side that didn't get a whole lot of airplay. But look, I want to see New Jersey succeed. I certainly want to see my legislative district succeed. We need Route 55, which is something I would love to work with Pete Buttigieg on if it's on their radar, because Cape May County and Cumberland County need that corridor to open. Cape May County is the 5th most dangerous county in the United States to evacuate. If there's another superstorm, we're going to have a very, very real problem. And also, I mean, because of the tourism, we need to have a highway that doesn't make people wait 3, 4, and 5 hours to get to their destination. It's a real problem. We need it for both our economy, and we certainly need it for our public safety when the hundreds of thousands of visitors are in Cape May County.
Senator Mike Testa, we rambled a little bit, but I hope our readers and our viewers enjoyed our chat. And, we demonstrated that there's a lot of cooperation that has to happen at the state and federal level to get what New Jersey deserves, to get that, that bacon back to Jersey. I want the federal government to lavish money on us. I don't know if that's because I'm a liberal or it's just because I'm a Jersey jingoist, but I think Jersey deserves, more and better from the federal government.
Well, and I think that, falls in the lap of our United States senators, that we are one of the states that lacks the most in the United States of America in getting those federal dollars back. I think that there's a lot of blame to lay in their lap. So, and I really love the fact that you use the term jingoist. That's phenomenal. I get accused of being one all the time, so it's great that those words came out of your mouth, not mine.
I am unapologetically jingoistic about New Jersey and about South Jersey, and maybe that's another thing that I'll add to the list that we have in common, and that's okay. It's funny because the best advice I ever got from George Norcross when I was sort of part of that machine for a while, he's like, if you're from South Jersey and you want something, you have to take it. You have to try to take it.
Sure.
And I don't know if I would approach the things that I take in the same manner as him, but he's right. Nobody's going to give us anything in South Jersey, and that's been demonstrated to me for the last 15 years. So my jingoism about the region of the state that I'm so proud of and happy to live in is born out of I got the scars to have earned it, for sure.
Absolutely. Listen, you and I still have to do lunch. We've promised each other that through our multitude of messages. And I believe the place that you wanted to go is in Vineland, one of my favorite places, a la Brihez. So,
Senator, I can't wait to join you for lunch after the vaccines happen, which is hopefully soon, and maybe we'll have you on the show again to to follow up, and we can talk about vaccines and all of the other fun things that are available for us to talk about on TV, on a podcast, on a stream.
It really would be. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me, Senator. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Take care. All the best.